case here in Melbourne. We're about to find out. Don't go anywhere. Qualifying is next.
Audi sponsors Formula One on Sky Sports. At AJ Bell, we're all about making investing easy. It's why Which rate no other investment platform higher for ease of use. Open an award-winning account today.
Football, it has its ups and downs. This weather, you should have brought a coat, mate. The food, $17.50, or whatever that is. The big signing, shocking. He's not much better either. And oh, here we go. The good news is, our app gives you insurance, free bets and big odds boosts. So whatever lets you down, it won't be your acca. It's a gaffer of an acca from Ladbrokes.
More excitement at your fingertips. You're on. Unibet has all your favourite slots. Thousands of top titles. New games drop weekly. Exclusive slots. Plus jackpots guaranteed at up £2 million and growing. Join today, deposit £10, get a £40 casino bonus. Unibet, you're on.
Formula One and I can challenge what we believe is possible. Changing our perspective on the world around us. At Airwallex, we are shifting perspective on global finance, helping customers like McLaren seamlessly do business around the world. Airwallex, proud partner of the McLaren Formula One team.
It's the most eagerly anticipated season in living memory. Here we go then. We're about to get started for Formula One in 2025. 4 teams realistically in with a shout who will prevail in qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix. One of the most eagerly anticipated seasons in the history of the sport.
See another team dominate. I have no idea.
Oh, shut the fuck up, Lando Norris. You don't know shit about racing.
He is clearly a new man.
Blah, blah, blah.
We're going to learn a lot about several drivers.
Set up somehow set up his stream with
Out of 8 billion people, there's only 20 drivers in Formula One. It's such a privilege to be here.
Here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome along to Saturday afternoon in the park, where it's time for qualifying, and for the 23rd time in the history of the Formula One World Championship, Albert Park, Melbourne has hosted the season opener. It's the first time we've been here at the start of the season since 2019. The track's been slightly modified since then, and it's giving us some very pacey laps indeed. Charles Leclerc with the race lap record. Pole last year went to Max Verstappen. First lap here to average average over 250 kilometers an hour. Top speed of over 210 miles an hour. There are 14 turns, 4 DRS zones, and 3 sets of tyres, compounds that the drivers have to contend with. The C3, very good race tyre. Williams are quite pacey on that as well. C4 is the medium, and C5 is the soft miles an hour. There are 14 here in Melbourne. What a city this is. Vibrant, multicultural city. The sporting capital, really, of Australia. And this, one of the iconic venues in the city. And the fans have been flooding in since the gates opened very early this morning. It's a hot one. We have clouds coming over the track as well. And it's time to stop guessing, Martin Brundle, at last, because we'll have a pecking order at the end of qualifying to see just who is the fastest on the track.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's closer than we even did. It seems, and as you say, Williams are right in there as well. This is the 4th fastest circuit on the Formula One calendar, behind Monza, Jeddah and Silverstone, which makes it faster than Spa, for example. So it just shows you the speed they're carrying around. Now the walls are close. They go across all sorts of white lines and bicycle lanes and what have you, which might be a bigger problem tomorrow in the rain that's expected. So, but this is all about one single lap, minimum fuel, maximum attack, maximum power. Except I think if I was at Haas, I'd put my teenager Ollie Behrman out on half tanks of fuel and tell him to go and get some laps under his belt. He's going to be towards the back of the grid anyway, whatever happens.
Why are you so
but let's see what they do with it. But that's for me. I want to get his head settled down and get him some confidence and just go and do a long run for half an hour. But that's one car. The other 19 will be going for it, and it's really who can beat McLaren, isn't it? They clearly improved the Red Bull overnight. I don't know if it was a bit susceptible to crosswinds yesterday, but Verstappen looked mighty fast, particularly in the middle sector.
I don't want it.
Antonelli, the other teenager, done a super job for Mercedes. Pre-season testing and here looked the real deal. Very impressive indeed.
One of a few in the field as well that could become the youngest ever pole sitter in F1 if they got pole today. Kimi Antonelli, Ollie Behrman, Isaac Hadjar and Gabriel Bortoletto. We've got plenty of rookies, we've got plenty of drivers changing teams as well. Only 2 teams have kept their driver lineup the same as it was in 2024. Carlos Sainz, who won last year's race, is now at Williams. Lewis Hamilton is now alongside Charles Leclerc with a wonderful school photo there with the man from Monaco, and that's looking straight into the eyes of Charles Leclerc.
Eyes of Charles
Leclerc. It's been Max Verstappen for the last 2 years that has gone and set the fastest time in qualifying.
But the Ferrari looked on rails yesterday, certainly in the hands of Leclerc. Lewis with a little bit of work to do, found some of that time today. Track temperatures dropped a little bit. It was well over 40 this morning. It's now 38.7. Maybe that'll bring it back into play for Ferrari. The wind speed's not too high at all. So conditions are good. A little bit of a qualifying cloud, as we like to call it. Just cutting out the sun. It just gives you a little bit of extra grip. Ted, what can you tell us?
I can tell you the drivers are as keen as we are to get on with this.
Get on with it! No more games! No more games! No more games!
Endless riddles. Nothing but a thought. Time to twirl! This big diamond! It's all yours!
No more games.
Expand your thinking. Watch it grow. Time to twirl! Open sesame. Time to twirl! This big diamond! It's all yours! Endless riddle. Nothing but a thought. Time to twirl!
Get them!
Expand your thinking. Glimpse the unknown.
That means he's only done 13.5 laps so far this weekend. So he hasn't had much chance to see Ollie Behrman out on
Please, Ferrari, be on pole position.
Endless riddle. Nothing but a thought.
Well, it's not possible. That is very cool because I don't like McLaren at all. Alright. ST.
Open sesame. What a crumb. Time to twirl.
Problem with a game box.
Endless.
Hell.
Nothing but a ball.
Ollie is gone already.
Expand your thinking. Glimpse the unknown.
Why y'all gotta jinx all of that?
Open sesame. Time to twirl. This big diamond, it's all yours. Endless riddles. Nothing but a ball. Time to twirl.
That shit, you're not gonna use it anymore.
We have seen, particularly Williams and Mercedes, doing good stuff sometimes on the harder, normally considerably slower tyres.
So Ollie Behrman pulls into the pit lane.
Time to
He's
twirl.
not had bad luck this weekend. He had no luck whatsoever. Here's debut. Start of the first full season. He's not exactly going to plan, and that's what he's done the weekend so far.
Time to twirl. This big diamond, it's all yours.
5 times world motorcycle champion. Very much making a name for himself.
Endless riddle. Nothing but a
Purple.
ball.
Jack do it. Purple.
Expand your thinking. What a crumb. Open sesame. Time to twirl. Endless riddle.
Man.
Nothing but a ball.
Purple. Second two. Do it. He's really flying now. Oh, shut up.
Time to twirl.
Get them!
Time to twirl.
Fiends or devils! I'll crush them all!
This big diamond, it's all yours. Endless riddle. Nothing but a ball. Time to twirl.
Do it on pole! Do it on pole! Do it on pole!
Not too bad at all.
Interestingly though, 3/10
Do it on
on
pole,
George Russell Hulkenberg.
Hulkenberg
16.9 goes ahead of doing. Russell maybe needs a couple of laps on those medium tyres to get going as the fuel burns out and the tyres warm up. Should get better lap times. Carlos Sainz only 5th fastest with his first lap in the Williams. Fernando Alonso comes to the end of his first flying lap and goes quickest by about 4/10 from Nico Hulkenberg. I saw a man called Mick in the crowd today. He said, "Crofty, 4,619 days since Fernando's last pole. He's been keeping track for me."
Yeah, if I a bit of advice to Mick, do not hand that to Fernando.
Yeah, he's not been too keen to talk to the media. He won't be too keen to talk to the fans about that either. Unless, of course, he gets pole today, which has looked unlikely, it has to say. I'm just looking out of our commentary box window, Martin. I know rain is not forecast, but they are very dark clouds that are coming over the circuit.
Yes. So can we do it? Like,
we know how changeable the weather can be here, but we should be all right for a dry hour, shouldn't we?
So.
Gasly popped the work. This is very unusual, because I mean, let's say Aston Martin have kind of really not done anything much so far this weekend in terms of threatening supersonic speeds, but Fernando Alonso out front at the moment. We're about to get a benchmark though, aren't we? We've got Leclerc out there flying as well. Lewis Hamilton going along nicely, as is Lando Norris,
who set the fastest first sector, and we saw dipping a tyre into the gravel at turn 6. That didn't slow him down too much in practice when he did exactly the same thing. Charles Leclerc goes quickest by less than 1/10 of a second from Fernando Alonso. Norris continues on his way. 17.2
really
for the middle sector was pretty competitive too. Matched Charles Leclerc in that middle sector. Round the final corner he comes. The Williams Sainz keeps nicely out of his way. Norris crosses the line, puts half a second between himself and Charles Leclerc. Welcome to qualifying for 2025. Lando Norris, there's a statement.
Yeah, it is, but I would say Fernando Alonso's time, they'll be pretty pleased with down at Aston Martin. That sort of put him in a group of cars he's not really appeared in at any point through the 3 practice sessions, the 3 of them so far.
If you remember back to Q1 in Austria, 2024, last season, closest we've ever had since this knockout qualifying was first brought in 2006. Only 0.798 of a second covered all 20 cars, and I wonder if we're on for something a bit similar today, because it has been very, very competitive this weekend. Piastri behind his teammate, 10th and a half. It's McLaren 1 and 2. Early stages confirming. A lot of people wearing papaya in this Albert Park area.
Yikes!
But
Yikes!
Max Verstappen
Why?
has just set the fastest first sector and the fastest middle part of the lap as well. And he's been blistering through this middle part of the lap today.
They've really tuned that thing up overnight, haven't it? It's a different car today. As I said, there's probably less.
Welcome back, Max Verstappen.
Today. Whatever it is, they've found something, and Matt.
A little bit in gravel, turn 6. Keep it on our left side of the car before. Okay.
Yeah, they've certainly tuned it up, and Max, you know, he can drive around problems a little bit, and he's certainly driving around them out there, and he splits the McLarens. That's how close it is. So Piastri 0.154 behind Norris. That doesn't sound much, does it? 10th and a half, but actually is a lot in Formula One terms. You think, wow, 14 corners, how hard is it to find 0.15? Very, actually, at this level.
And when you do that, do you lose, what, half a tenth?
Well, you're bound to. You're concerned that your left-hand side tyres are a bit grubby when you need them down in turn 10. And
I swear to God,
surely
you keep doing that, you're gonna spin out and die,
puts him slightly out of line, so
and I want that
a bit of speed. So whilst it's not a huge amount of time, it'll all add up.
I just don't want to.
Ollie Behrman still in the garage while Haas take a look at that gearbox issue. Isaac Hadja is out on the track on his outlap, as is his teammate Yuki Tsunoda at Racing Bulls. Carlos Sainz is down in the bottom 5 along with Esteban Ocon. Remember, we lose the slowest 5 at the end of the first part of qualifying. Next 15 go on to Q2, and the 10 that are fastest after that go back to the pole. Russell's on a new lap, flying lap on those medium tyres. We can head down to turn.
Yeah, so having warmed those medium tyres up, Russell's giving it a go. I think Antonelli might have given up on that experiment. He's come into the pits. I think he's going to change tyres. They are trying to fix the gearbox of Ollie Behrman down at Haas. Crofty, they haven't given up. They didn't give up on free practice 2 when they tried to get the car fixed yesterday.
Lawson
They're not going to give up now. They're going to try until the end of the session.
Jack Doohan has popped himself in the 6th fastest ahead of Lewis Hamilton in the Ferrari after his latest run.
Mercedes obviously hoping they can get through with Russell on medium, but they're the only team that are trying to do that. As you say, Antonelli pits probably onto soft tyres, but at least they've saved a set of soft tyres.
Crowd watches on as George Russell flicks it right and then left and then right through turns 9 and 10. Alex Albon has just set the fastest middle sector on his latest lap. Russell makes his way now towards the end.
What the fuck is going on in the middle sector?
Circuit, turn 13, and then patiently wait, feather that throttle. Floor in now and dash with your DRS open towards the line to complete the lap, and it's 4th fastest. It's a 1:16.2.
What the fuck is going on with Ferrari?
To send George Russell through and save some soft tyres.
It should be, shouldn't it? Especially as we're only, if Behrman doesn't get out of the time, we're still going to get knocked out in this session, and it'll be 6 next year in total in the first session. 22 cars on the grid as we see Jim Ratcliffe there. But
I have this like drink connector. It's too high up. My helmet is stuck on it.
Okay. Yeah. A little bit of wardrobe malfunction there for Max Verstappen. But once again, then Ferrari need to start. And look at that. Alonso's on an absolute stonking lap. And once again, Ferrari then need to find something.
Yeah, this track is ramping up, and not just with Fernando Alonso. Albon and Hadja, 8th and 9th fastest currently. Leclerc crosses the line and puts himself 3rd fastest. Alonso 5th fastest. Pushed quite hard in the first 2 sectors and was hanging on for dear life in the final bit, but puts himself in that top 5. That might well be enough yet. Lance Stroll crosses the line and his Aston Martin is into the top 9. So it's Norris, Verstappen, Leclerc separated by 26 1,000th of a second.
Hamilton then down in 12th at the moment, but he's on 2 personal bests out there that should put that right. But
I don't want it. I want Leclerc anywhere. I want Charles Leclerc.
So Lewis Hamilton goes 7th fastest with his latest flying lap. Alonso in the top 5. Nod of approval, I think, from Mr. Cowell, the new team principal. at Aston Martin.
Yellow
We've got a
flag.
yellow flag.
Ah, that was good. 10-12 was full of gravel on the exit curve.
There's a fair bit of gravel being kicked up around this track. Whatever we had that yellow for someone running wide, they carried on, and we're now clear again, and we're in green conditions.
Go
the
on
last
pole.
thing you want, if you're down in the bottom 5 at this moment in time, is for yellow flags to disrupt you. Let's see what it was. Liam Lawson into turn 3, lock up, going wide into the gravel.
The fucking second car's curse.
Lovely little bit of
second car's
tarmac,
curse.
quite bumpy on the in the braking zone on the way to turn 3. He got in very deep there, but lives for another day.
Yeah, he's having trouble, Liam Lawson here. He's in that bottom 5, only 17th fastest at the moment.
What is bro doing?
He's up into the top 2.
What?
So he's going to have to come in, change a set of tyres, and hope that he can get one more flying.
Yo, what is going on with that
Kimi
car?
Antonelli, meanwhile, born on the same day, wasn't it, that Sebastian Vettel made his weekend appearance at an F1 Grand Prix in Turkey in 2006. Antonelli rounds the final corner, powers it towards the line. Where's the Mercedes going to end up? Only 14th fastest.
It's very low, that car. Very low indeed. Sometimes see a little light front underneath the front bib, we call it, on the floor. That's a ride height sensor. But generally, the car was dragging its rear end. Shall we?
No, the stream lagged. Fuck! Stop. Switching stream, guys. You're switching streams.
Turning white hot, didn't it, Martin? I thought initially it was one of the lasers that they point down at the track to sort of measure front slip angle, but maybe it was just burning hot or some sparks out of there. Anyway, so work continues on Behrman's gearbox, although not particularly quickly. A cut-off time for getting out of this session. Just to tell you, if you're new to F1, you haven't been following us, what these cut-off times are, all the engineers get together, do some calculations, put their finger in the air, see which way the wind is going, and then guess at a time that is going to see you safely into Q2. And that today, ladies and gentlemen, is a 1:16.5. There you go. So Lance Stroll safe on a 16.6, well, 16.6 might be safe. Hadjar Doohan, Antonelli not safe at the moment, but George Russell probably just about safe on a 16.2.
So little sparks coming from the back of Antonelli's car.
Yeah, there's something wrong there. That the rear ride height's either incorrectly set or something's broken and dropped. And I think Ted might well be right. I think it's just a little firework at the front. It is. It's actually just burning. That's not a ride height.
It's like a trail that's leaving on the top.
No, that's a major issue. Something's dropped. Something's wrong on that. And that's not an easy fix, especially with 3.5 minutes to go.
1:16.5 is the cut-off time. Give it plus or minus 1/10 of a second. Lewis Hamilton's going to have to come out again. Currently 7th fastest, using up another set of tyres that he really wouldn't want to be doing at the moment.
Yeah, and the other, yes, indeed. The other problem for Antonelli is they're now in parc fermé conditions, so actually adjusting the ride height is not allowed to adjust the suspension setup. So that's a major issue there for Merck.
What's the betting? Kimi Antonelli, by the way, hasn't gone over a curb, and that's dislodged.
This guy is cooking.
Yeah, the whole car looked low though, didn't it? Or gone over a curb and broken something at the back, or let's see.
Lewis Hamilton, who has used just the one set of tyres so far, did 2 runs on the same set of tyres, putting himself under maybe a little bit of pressure there, but he's got 8 poles here in Melbourne before, so
faster than Hamilton.
Handle pressure
Faster than
around this track.
Hamilton.
Carlos Sainz goes above
Faster
him,
than
16.3 in the Williams. Out comes Hamilton. I'm just talking about him, and out he comes.
Faster than Hamilton.
She's trained already. Well, she has been. Her prayers have been answered with some excellent form so far this weekend. On board with Liam Lawson, Martin.
Yeah, those drivers that are Alonso's just coming out of the pits now have not got an awful lot of time to get round. Hulkenberg 2. Here we go. Down. We're looking for a little tiny. Oh, we were. Little tiny curve there.
This is better from Liam Lawson.
No, it was a long time off the throttle there, and the back end trying to step out on him through the exit of 10. Bit of traffic, and yeah, he's just lacking grip. He's lacking.
Oh my God!
And we've got to lock up. Now we're going to go wide. Now we're going to hit the grass, and that I fear is that's it. That's it for Liam Lawson. He'll start at the back.
Well, it was looking better for the first lap, part and a half, shall we say, of this lap, but once it started going wrong, it went very wrong. And even Max Verstappen is saying at the moment, my tyres are not holding on. I tell you whose tyres have just held on. Soft tyre run for George Russell, just gone second fastest with the best middle sector so far. It's Norris, Russell, Verstappen, Leclerc, Piastri, the top 5 as we enter the last minute. And look down on Yuki Tsunoda around the final corner. Here in Albert Park, he needs to put a bit of distance between himself and the bottom 5 and go 6th fastest. That'll do nicely for Yuki Tsunoda. So with a 1:16.2 safely in that safety zone, shall we say. Kimi Antonelli, car looks a lot better down the straight this time around and only goes 10th fastest. It's a 1:16.5. He is right on the cut-off zone here as Gasly goes ahead of him and into 8th fastest. Next across the line will be Nico Hülkenberg trying to get out of the bottom 5 and starting his final lap. So he's left it late to do that. Isaac Hadjar crosses the line, goes 9th fastest. That's decent. And Lewis Hamilton being pushed ever nearer to that bottom 5 on his Ferrari debut. Here comes the Sauber of Gabriel Bortoleto starting a new lap. And Jack Doohan goes 8th fastest. I think his old man will be quite happy with that one.
Super job. Hadjar doing a cracking job out there, as are the two Williams boys jockeying it through the final corner. Red lights are on. It's the end of the session, but you can, of course, complete the lap.
Which he has done, goes 7th fastest. Esteban Ocon completed his lap just before that. Can't get out of the bottom 5. And Stroll goes 13th fastest. Yeah, Stroll has been pushed down ever nearer to that bottom 5. And Kimi Antonelli is also looking not in great shape down towards the lower reaches. First off, we'll concentrate on Lewis Hamilton. 8-time pole sitter, doesn't want to get knocked out in Q1 for his first go at qualifying in the Ferrari, and that'll do nicely. 6th fastest, he'll move on to Q2. So Behrman not getting out. Ocon is out, Lawson is out. Hülkenberg and Bortoleto are the two that we're watching now. And here is the Sauber of Gabriel Bortoleto. He is the current reigning F2 champion. The year before that, he was F3 champion. Charles Leclerc, Oscar George Russell did exactly the same thing. His pedigree is high, and this lap gets him out of the bottom 5 at the expense of Kimi Antonelli. That's a super lap. And Nico Hülkenberg has crossed the line, and Bortoleto, on his first go at qualifying in F1, has out-qualified the man who for Haas last year was in the top 10 on 11 times.
Are we through?
Lawson then.
Negative, mate. I've just been bumped.
Boom! 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 Boom!
So, there's two front runners we did not expect to lose in the first part of qualifying.
Gabriel
Bortoleto. Liam Lawson for Red Bull. Super job for Bortoleto there. I think he's a star of the future, that one. And he'll struggle to absolutely shine, I think, in that car this year. But, wow, yeah, there was a lot of changing. And Racing Bulls did a good job, as we thought they would. The car looked great when I was out on track day yesterday, the Racing Bulls. But Jack Doohan ahead of Pierre Gasly under a lot of pressure. Well done, Jack.
Yep, fastest rookie in that session. Ollie Behrman didn't get a go. His gearbox gave up on him. Esteban Ocon, his Haas teammate, also out. Liam Lawson for Red Bull, out in qualifying.
Let's
Nico
go.
Hülkenberg for Sauber, and Kimi Antonelli getting through by what, 9 1/1000ths of a second at Antonelli's expense. Gabriel Bortoleto, who was coming in for a bit of criticism from Dr. Helmut Marko, the head of the Red Bull driver development program, said he was a B-grade driver. Well, Lawson going out, Bortoleto going through, probably what the doctor didn't order for this morning here in Albert Park.
Welcome back to Formula One in 2025, and our championship begins here in Australia.
Welcome to Melbourne.
Carlos Sainz takes the lead of the Grand Prix. They nearly back wheels at huge speed.
This is the Australian Grand Prix.
Carlos Sainz wins the Australian Grand Prix.
official La Liga show, where every match beats with passion.
Stunning effort.
Every goal, pure euphoria.
It's gone for goal!
We bring you the build-up, the brilliance.
What a brilliant goal!
And the breakdown of the beautiful game.
Sevilla's danger man!
All the magic of Spanish football in one show.
Absolute magic.
The La Liga show, only on BN Sports.
No tyres in the lap.
Let's take a look at Liam Lawson's lap. I've just seen him actually as he walked past the sky pad here. Down into turn one, first corner. He's trying to turn quite aggressively the wheel. The car did respond. So at that point, you know, it looks like he's got a little bit of confidence starting off the lap. Come down to turn three, he's had that lockup we've seen earlier on, and there already, look, a snap of oversteer there, but that's not too bad. And then as the lap starts to unfold, it just looks like he hasn't got the grip to go with it. So let's get down to turn six. I'll slow it down here as we get down to the right-hander. Understeer on the way in, gets the nose in, then it bites. A little bit wide there, but it's not too bad as well. So Liam was just saying to me, the first half of the lap actually felt pretty good, and he thought, okay, he could get there. But as we're about to find out, as the lap unfolded, it just wasn't with him. Let's get to turns 9 and 10. This is where it starts to go away from him. So he gets through 9, okay, a little bit of correction, and then watch there, has to correct the wheel. And he's now there at that point, slightly wider than he would have liked. That puts him off wide on the curb there. So he's had a compromise run for the right-hander of a turn 10. Let's get under braking for the, there, again a correction, again micro corrections out wide on the exit curb. Turning into the right-hander here, but this is where finally he gets, watch the front left there, lock up, under rotation, completely misses off the apex there, and he's off into the gravel, into the grass there. So yeah, really unfortunate for him. I believe we've got Liam Lawson has now actually gone into the pen talking to Rachel.
Recharge on, recharge on.
So difficult this weekend for you up to this point. Just talk me through that qualifying session and how you felt things were. I know you've had a massive lack of running here so far this weekend.
Yeah, it's we expected the start of quali to be tough. So yeah, to be honest, the first laps were expected to be off, and then we were just planning on building through the session. But obviously going off on that second lap sort of put everything out of order a bit, and then last lap was good, honestly, just until the last sector where I just had a big drop. So yeah, obviously missing P3 obviously doesn't help any of this, but I also shouldn't be going off in quali. So
you have had a lack of running, you haven't raced around this circuit before, so cut yourself a little bit of slack on that front. But in terms of that run today, where were you at before you had the issues in the final sector?
I mean, we were before turn 6, before turn 9, we were about half a second up. So yeah, and then obviously we would have just kept improving, but I already had a snap through 9 and 10. I think tyres were already starting to drop there. So that's something we've just been battling this weekend, and yeah, obviously something that we missed sort of practicing at P3.
Do you feel better on high fuel? Are you more confident for the race that you can do something tomorrow?
I haven't really done much high fuel running, so I think we feel like we made a step with the car today regardless of this. Obviously Max is in a good position, so we definitely made a step. And obviously the weather tomorrow is variable, so let's see.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, might be praying for a little bit of rain in a car that was knocked out in Q1 6 times last year. He was knocked out himself in Q1 6 times last year with RB. Not the start that Liam Lawson wanted. Max Verstappen continues on. It is different season, same old for Red Bull.
You can hear the Mexican fans now, can't you? Almost from here on that one.
Yeah, I think so. Right, let's concentrate on the now. And this is Max Verstappen out on the track, and along with it, Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris, George Russell and Oscar Piastri, Lewis Hamilton, Alex Albon, Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz. We're into Q2. And Max Verstappen is giving it everything through turn 5 and 6.
He's massively quick through that section of the track, really brave with the car. But they've improved it dramatically since yesterday. Just line of least resistance, go through the cycle lane there. And now we're looking
oh my goodness.
Trying not to hit the wall on the right on the way in. Oh, and he had to do a correction in the middle there. That's not the best we've seen of Max through that corner of the Red Bull. And that means you just hesitate a little bit, you lose speed all the way down the next straight. You lose a little bit of confidence, as you know the back end of the car is coming unstuck a bit, but he's still en route to a half-tidy lap time here.
I wonder if that's an indication there of what he was saying at the end of Q1. My tyres are not holding on for the whole of the lap. He just didn't get the grip that he wanted. Either way, it's a 1:15.6 for Max Verstappen, and he's about 4/10 faster than his best time in the first part of qualifying. Next across the line will be Charles Leclerc. It's a 1:15.8, so behind the Red Bull of Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
Why is it so fucking slow? This is so slow.
There of what he was saying at the end of Q1. My tyres are not holding on for the whole of the lap. He just didn't get the grip that he wanted. Either way, it's a 1:15.6 for Max Verstappen, and he's about 4/10 faster than his best time in the first part of qualifying. Next across the line will be Charles Leclerc. It's a 1:15.8, so behind the Red Bull of Max Verstappen.
Yeah, and there's at least a quarter of a second left in Verstappen yet. That's an ominous lap time if they can't beat it, because Max had a few adventures on that lap.
Lewis Hamilton last year was knocked out in Q2 in Melbourne for the first time since 2010. At that time of a 1:16.0, albeit 2/10 up on his best time from Q1, I dare say is not going to be enough to get through to the final part of qualifying this year. He's going to have to go some, because the likes of Oscar Piastri and George Russell are queuing up behind him and improving all the while. Piastri 26.1 through the first sector, blistering start to his latest flying lap. We're at the end of George Russell's flying lap, the man, of course, who was on the front row in 2023, goes into second place in 2025, just a 1/10 of a second off Max Verstappen. Carlos Sainz will be next across the line, goes 5th fastest behind Lewis by 4/10 of a second. Alex Albon now crosses the line, and he goes into the top 4, 3/10 off the pace.
And ahead of Hamilton and Sainz. So Albon, those two are just going to drive each other on all year, aren't they, Sainz and Albon?
Yeah.
What has local hero Oscar Piastri got to offer? He's got a 15.468 and fastest overall. But they need to keep an eye on their rear mirrors for Verstappen on a cleaner lap.
And Lando Norris, who is separated from his teammate by 88/1000ths of a second. If Verstappen's lap was ominous, the local heroes, local fans, will tell you Piastri's lap was obvious. They knew he was going to come out on top. Fernando Alonso has just pitted at the end of what was shaping up to be a decent lap. He was on used tyres. Not quite sure why he didn't go on and cross the line there, to be honest, but I'm sure he's got his reasons. Lance Stroll, also on used tyres, goes 9th fastest of the 9 tyres that we've had so far. So early skirmishes. It's McLaren 1 and 2, Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari. And Hamilton has been getting closer to his teammate. 6/10 off in FP1, 4/10 off in FP2, just under 2/10 off in FP3, and about 0.06 of a second faster than that in Q1. This is maybe why Alonso.
Oh my God!
I think that's why he pitted, Martin, because he went onto that curb, and he might want to have a look at that.
Yeah, you almost guaranteed to damage the underneath. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And then that's impossible to repair during a qualifying session. You are allowed to repair genuine damage. You can demonstrate before the race tomorrow, but you do not want to be out there.
Turn 10, left-hand side, correct?
He lifts the front wheel off the ground. Watch his right front to our left there. We lifted it off the ground. There's not a whole lot of droop suspension travel on these. But so what have we got? We've got five different teams in the top 6 at the moment, showing you just how competitive it is. And Ted's got news on Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, so still figuring out how to work best with his team. He's asking his engineer, Riccardo Adami, for sector times and where he's losing the lap time. The answer is turn 1 at the moment. Most of the loss to Leclerc is turn 1, so that's something for Hamilton to work on. Just quick one on Antonelli. Confirmation from Mercedes that Antonelli broke the bib, that's the front of the floor, on a curb, and he was losing 0.3 of a second to George Russell on every straight, of which there are quite a few around here. So that puts Antonelli's Q1 exit, Crofty, into some context.
It does. There's drag and there's dragging, and that was very much a dragging. Meanwhile, dragging the Alpine car around this Albert Park circuit. Here comes Jack Doohan, latest lap from him, not good enough for the top 10. He's on the fringes of it, behind Isaac Hadjar, who continues to impress the other rookie in the Racing Bull. Gabriel Bortoletto's got Sauber at the Q2. He's the slowest of the times we've had so far in his first run, which I dare say is on a set of used tyres. Meanwhile, Yuki Tsunoda will be next to cross the line. Best qualifying here of 8th last season on the grid. Finished 7th in that race, and they are 6th fastest for Yuki Tsunoda. The RBs, the Racing Bulls, just look at car that's pretty handy around here.
Yeah, and in the high-speed corners when I was out there yesterday, they're really stable. You can see the drivers felt confident to sort of hustle them through the quick stuff, as Doohan loses that at 1:16.995, so therefore doesn't have a time on the board.
So the bottom 5, Jack Doohan and Fernando Alonso, Gabriel Bortoletto, Lance Stroll and Isaac Hadjar. Be checking Fernando Alonso's car. They'll be checking the Williams and Carlos Sainz as well. Both Williams drivers saying they're struggling a bit with tyre temperature, and that could be too hot or not getting them up to temperature. You do want to have the confidence of turning in at turn 1, knowing that you've got that grip. Leclerc looked like he had it there. Fresh, soft tyres for him.
Yeah, both of them I think are on fresh tyres, because Hamilton's just a few hundred metres up the track. Always a bit risky if you send them both out like that, because if the first driver has a problem and there's a yellow flag, you lose too. But at this level, you don't consider that. A bit of dust kicked up there, but I think it was other people's gravel rather than running wide for Charles Leclerc. He's on a personal best first sector, matched by Lewis Hamilton. The middle sector is just 17 seconds long. Okay for Leclerc. Let's see, Hamilton will be along shortly. So they're getting on with it. I think this will end. It's a personal best, but a tenth slower for Lewis Hamilton. He's lost out to Leclerc through turn 6, all through the practice sessions, but they're even Stevens on the rest of the lap.
Yeah, there's not much to separate them, and Ferrari very much in touch with the pace setters that are McLaren, Piastri and Norris, as Charles Leclerc makes his way around the final corner. Get as close as you dare to the wall, but give yourself a bit of breathing space, because that could be a nasty accident. He lost so much time in that final sector. Only 5th fastest for Charles Leclerc. Did he push too hard, too soon? Did Lewis Hamilton do the same thing? He's only 6th fastest. The Ferrari in that final sector, just, it's not hooked up when you look at the time sheets.
They're overheating the rear tyres. The alarm bells should be going off now for Ferrari, because there's a lot of faster cars around them, and they're only just ahead of Tsunoda, Albon and co, and Gasly for that matter. So they're not challenging the front row at the moment, and they cannot keep the rear tyres happy and intact all the way through the 14 corners.
What looked like a really speedy car in the hands of this man Charles Leclerc in FP2 has steadily dropped away from that assumption as Saturday has gone on. 4.5 minutes to go here in Albert Park. Zach Brown, it's looking pretty decent for you and your McLaren team so far.
So far, so good. Let's finish this session and see if we can repeat this in Q3.
What are the drivers feeding back to you about the handling of the car and the track, the conditions?
Yeah, they're happy. So I think they're just refining their laps here a little bit. Those were 2 really good laps. Oscar's was fantastic, as was Lando's. So yeah, I think everything's under control so far.
Your 2 drivers must smell a World Championship opportunity this year. They'll be desperate, won't they, especially if it might rain tomorrow, to out-qualify each other. They must be focused on each other, your 2 drivers.
Yeah, they're not saying as such, but I have a sneaky suspicion when they look at the timing screen, they look to see where their teammate is, that's for sure.
I'm sure they do. Zach, thanks for joining us. We'll come back to you if we can during Q3. It's about to get Larry once again out on the track, and they're all steadily making their way out with Lewis Hamilton already on the circuit, and I think doing another warm-up lap. I'm assuming that he came into the pits and changed tyres after his last flying run. We didn't see him come into the pits, but he's going slowly down the main straight there, and he's feeding into where all the other cars are trying to come out.
Yeah, they've got enough time to get out and get a lap completed. They sound like a bag of spanners when they're ticking over, don't they? They sound awful. And especially when they're on the rev limiter coming down the pit lane, but crisp as when they're up nearer the 15,000 revs.
We're used to traffic jams around Albert Park, and here's the most expensive one of the weekend in the pit lane. Lando Norris trying to find a way through, Ted.
Yeah, but Charles Leclerc has come into the pits, and rather than dive right into his garage, he's just joined the queue. So it looks like Hamilton has stayed out on that old set of tyres, Leclerc is cooling off his tyres and is going back again as the McLaren has to be wheeled back because otherwise it's going to take the front wing off. It looks like Leclerc is going to go out on the same set of soft tyres. These soft tyres, by the way, Leclerc reported back on the radio, my front left is completely gone. Well, I hope there's a bit of life left because he's going to have another go.
I think if he doesn't go straight out, Ted, he'll not make it round to start a final attempt anyway. They're running out of time. So they've already got the chronology wrong there, haven't they, at Ferrari?
They've been caught out by the queue. Now, in practice, Ferrari were getting better times on their second run, flying run, on a set of the soft compound tyres. But to do that in qualifying is asking quite a lot of both drivers. The reason Hamilton stayed out was because he didn't want to get stuck at the back of the queue like his teammate did. Let's focus on Gabriel Bortoleto. That could have been nasty.
Good save.
Absolutely. I've not seen a save like that since Gordon Banks in the World Cup. That was phenomenal from Gabriel Bortoleto, who could have been heading to a wall, but that has absolutely ruined his lap.
Yeah, he's heading to becoming a spectator now, isn't he, for the second, or the final part of qualifying, I should say. At least it's not in the wall.
Yeah, and I think that's the relief on the faces of those down in the Sauber garage. Happy Maple Syrup Day in Canada to you, as we watch Lance Stroll trying to get himself out of a sticky situation. He's down in 12th place currently. Jack Doohan also on the track. We can follow his progress, but here comes Stroll then towards the end of this latest flying lap. What do his sector times look like? Down by 3/10 in the first sector, down by 1/10 in the second sector, based on who's going the fastest. George Russell has just set the fastest middle sector on his latest flying lap, and DRS has been disabled because someone has gone off on the middle part of the lap, and it's Lewis Hamilton that has stopped and spun as Lance Stroll doesn't make his way.
Why are you backwards?
Jack Doohan can carry on his pass.
Why are you backwards? Oh my God.
Not where he wants to be. Sixth fastest, and now just a tad vulnerable.
Yeah, Doohan's had to navigate an awful lot of slow traffic. Has that compromised him as he goes over the line? And Doohan 13th, he won't go through to the top 10 shootout, but still a good effort.
So there will have been yellow flags. A lot of people will have had their lap times compromised by Lewis Hamilton's spin. Piastri goes through. He is the fastest driver in this session. Verstappen, just starting his last flying lap, has gone quickest through the first sector. Isaac Hadjar trying to get out of the bottom 5, hasn't made it by just under 6/100ths of a second. Much to the relief, I'm sure, of Carlos Sainz, who crosses the line and improves to go 7th fastest ahead of Tsunoda. And this man, his teammate, Alex Albon, who stays 9th fastest. Gasly is on the cusp. I'm just trying to see who might be able to challenge him. Fernando Alonso is the only one that might have that challenge in that bottom 5, but here comes Max Verstappen.
A bit wide through the penultimate corner, 2 personal bests, so 2 fastest of anybody so far. Verstappen goes over the line and stays with that scruffy end of the lap. 3rd.
Yeah, if you push too hard too soon, your tyres aren't there for you at the end, as Lando Norris goes quickest in this second part of qualifying. Fernando Alonso only makes it 12th fastest. Lewis Hamilton had his spin, but he will make it through, as will Pierre Gasly in 10th for Alpine. That's a strong qualifying for him. Wow, what a breathless ends. And whilst Ferrari have got problems, they at least have 2 cars into the second part.
Yeah, they go again. They go again. And Tsunoda there in 8th, doing a fine job, saying in his crash helmet, no doubt, I should be in the Red Bull. Maybe he's better off where he is. Whoops, lost it on the way in. And you've got a massive pendulum effect when your engine and gearbox starts overtaking you. There is no way back.
Matt, remember, on a set of tyres that had already done 1 flying lap, and he backed off for a couple to cool them down, and they were just overheating at the end of the lap. Let's have a look at Gabriel Bortoletto and his experience through turn 4. He was heading to the car park.
Yeah, the car started to bounce before he hit the curb, so he arrived at the curb slightly unstable, and then they finished it off for him, but he dialed in just enough counter steering.
Sorry about that, guys.
And that's
no problem.
He's out along with Jack Doohan, Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso and Isaac Hadjar, top rookie in qualifying, missed out by less than 6/100ths of a second. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, though, for McLaren, first and second fastest. They look like the team to beat, but it is oh so close at the top, and any slight error could cost you dear. The chase for pole to come.
Puddles. It's twists, turn, it's DCIs, family ties, and why eyes? It's exploring it, discovering it. How is it? Why is it? What is it? Can I lick it? It's dreaming, it's believing. It's all this and more. Watch it, stream it. It's all on 5.
In Japan, canvas for everything life has to offer. The all-new Mazda CX-80 plug-in hybrid. Mazda, crafted in Japan.
Car insurance sorted. That you've just used Confused. JustUsedConfused.com.
Formula One and art can challenge what we believe possible, changing our perspective on the world around us. At Airwallex, we are shifting perspective on global finance, helping customers like McLaren seamlessly do business around the world.
Blah, 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 McLaren.
Airwallex, proud partner of the McLaren Formula One team.
When you recognize a stubborn stall, it's time to act, because the longer you leave it, the harder it can get. Try clinically proven Mover-Colise. It harnesses the power of water using its triple effect formula that draws water into to hydrate, to soften.
Welcome back to Albert Park, first qualifying session of the season. Ferrari have problems. You can see Charles Leclerc scanning the data out on track. This was one of the many moments that were going quite as smooth as he would have wanted. He's been noted by race control for a possible impeding into what he has, George Russell has. They are, George, trundling away, Mr. Brundle. Is he trundling in the wrong part of the track?
He certainly wasn't being helpful, but it's more the Ferrari getting a little bit leery in there, but George wasn't helping along.
And what didn't help Lewis Hamilton was a spin on his final flying lap. Karun Chandok to the Sky Pad and you.
Thank you, Crofty. Yeah, let's have a look at this here. This was Hamilton running down towards turn 11, and I'll just slow it down because he turns in okay and gets to the apex fine, and then the back of the car is just not with him. He was apex, and then the rear of the car just went away. You mentioned in commentary they had tyres that had done multiple multiple laps at that stage. And Ferrari had been struggling earlier in the session with rear tyre grip in the final sector, just cooking the rear tyres. They were good in sectors 1 and 2, and then didn't have the grip in the final sector. Now, really unfortunate for Jack Doohan, because that spin for Lewis Hamilton, time for him. He had done a good first and second sector, and in fact, let's remember, he was ahead of Gasly in Q1, but there's the yellow flag. Unfortunately for him, he gets to that corner. There's Lewis in the middle of the track, so he's had to abandon his lap, basically. He pushes on, but then he's got front, and the whole thing just goes away from Jack in the final part of the lap. So really unfortunate for him. He's done a very, very good job so far in qualifying, yeah, that didn't work out for him. So I believe we can hear from Kimi Antonelli a little bit now.
Are we through? Negative, mate. Yeah, I've just been bumped.
Kimi, can you just tell us the thinking behind going out on the medium tyre first of all in Q1?
I think was something we agreed with the team, and we knew, you know, medium tire lap 1 maybe would have not been optimal, but lap 2 normally the tire improve. But we decided to change plan at the very end, go straight on soft. But I think, yeah, in T6, you know, that lot of gravel that was on the curb really broke my car because the floor got a big damage afterwards, and it was kind of hanging. You know, the car bottoming massively on the straight, and yeah, it's a shame because without the damage, probably would have been a different qualifying.
What have you learned from that session then today, would you say, to take into next time you're in qualifying?
Well, definitely. I mean, it's not ideal because, I mean, looking how we did in FP3, definitely we could have played for a better result. But it's what it is, and now we move on and go straight on soft. But I think, yeah, in T6, you know, that lot without the damage probably would have been a different qualifying.
What have you learned from that session then today, would you say, to take into next time you're in qualifying?
Well, definitely. I mean, it's not ideal because, I mean, looking how we did in FP3, definitely we could have played for a better result. But it's what it is, and now we move on, and we see what we can do tomorrow.
Kimi Antonelli out in Q1.
Bye.
Floor damage. His teammate George Russell through Q3.
Back Ferrari, back
And this is what the
F175.
teenagers and the rookies are learning. You can't make mistakes because there are always ramifications. You stick it in the wall, then you might have a drive shaft or a gearbox issue later on. You run wide, you damage the floor, and that's all the things, unfortunately, you have to learn the hard way, as we've seen with Beerman and Antonelli.
So we have Q3 then, and the race for pole. Not since 2005 here in Australia have both Williams reached Q3. Mark Webber and Nick Heifeld that day. Well, they've got two Williams in Q3 today, and Mark Webber is now Oscar Piastri's manager. And can Oscar Piastri get pole today after 6 front row starts in his career so far? Hasn't got a pole yet. Zach Brown's the CEO at McLaren. Max Verstappen is a threat, but it is looking ever more like Lando against Oscar for the top spot today, Zach.
I think Max is a big threat. So is Russell. A little surprised by Leclerc in Q2, so let's not rule him or Lewis out. So I think we got 6 cars shooting for pole here.
Oh,
but I feel good.
You've sent your cars out very early, Zach, presumably to try and stay out of anybody else's yellow flags, gravel and carnage.
Yeah, absolutely. And just try and get a banker in here early. We've got 2 sets of new softs, so we want to make sure we optimize both.
Right, we'll let you watch the lap. We're on board with Oscar Piastri, who is going for his first ever pole in Formula One at his home track in his hometown. How's it looking so far, Martin? I promise you Martin is there.
Sorry, I was just looking at something else, Crofty. Yeah,
sorry, mate.
Here we go. Into turn 6. Nice. They're using all the track available. That's your job as a racing driver, to minimize the angle of the corners and to actually make the track as short as you can get away with.
Bro.
The timings, 1:15.7 for Charles Leclerc as Lando Norris gets his lap time delivered.
And get the DRS closed open the throttle hard, use...
Why is all the streams delayed?
Fastest.
Yeah, well, we heard from Zach they wanted to get a banker lap in, and neither driver did. One went wide and the other had it deleted.
And this man could usurp the lot, and does. Max Verstappen on pole for the last 2 years here in Albert Park has just put his Red Bull on provisional pole by a couple of hundredths of a second.
As you say, Leclerc right in there as well. So this puts pressure on the two McLaren drivers now. They've got to get it done. Got to get out. They've got to spot every braking point, every turning point, pick the throttle up absolutely at the right moment, keep their tyres intact, and they haven't got that banker lap in. But that's what they get paid the money to do.
Right, where to start discussing all of that? Let's go with Oscar Piastri and where it went wrong, sorry, Lando Norris and where it went wrong for him. That's why he had his lap time deleted.
Exit curve 26, when I request so far, so double checks please.
Yeah, we will do.
Flirting with that. As Lando Norris. This is his teammate, Oscar Piastri. And we saw this just going too deep.
Yeah, he just tried to carry too much speed in there, and the front axle wouldn't have it. And he was probably still just dragging the brake in. And the front went across the road, runs you wide, and it's a horrible feeling in there. You're kind of, whatever you do then with the pedals or the steering wheel, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You're running wide.
Really handy time from Alex Albon, 5th fastest on a set of used tyres. Pierre Gasly also had used tyres on, as did Carlos Sainz and Lewis Hamilton. Lando Norris, no time on the board. Sainz, 9th fastest. Gasly behind Hamilton, behind Tsunoda, behind Albon. And then the top 4, well, Alex Albon is right in contention with Oscar Piastri, given that Piastri lost a bit of time. But it's so tight. Less than a 1/10 of a second between the top 3. Ted, down to you.
It certainly is. You know, if you're McLaren, if you're Oscar or Lando, you make a mistake, who's going to be there to punish you? Max Verstappen. But actually, he was slower. I don't know if this is a wide moment, Crofty.
He was just on the line.
He was a 10th slower, Verstappen, in that run than he was at the end of Q2. It was a 15.6 just gone now, and he did a 15.5 in Q2.
Yeah, well, track temperature's changing all the time. That can have a bearing. The clouds are coming over. That should normally help, Ted. But you're right, he was slower. Charles Leclerc made an improvement on his best time in Q2, as did George Russell. And I'm just looking to see who else made an improvement. That's pretty much it. The track getting a little bit slower out there as we get towards the checkered flag to end this qualifying session. We have that little lull now where the drivers will study the data on the screens in front of them, and the mechanics in the garage will make a few running repairs. Out comes the gaffer tape to Lando Norris's floor just to try and repair a little bit of damage that might have been caused by him running over the gravel again. Might be wise for Lando just to be a couple of inches further to the right, because he has been flirting with that gravel trap all the way through. This is Lewis Hamilton on his run down at turn 11, where of course he had that spin in Q2 and he was going a little bit wide there, Martin.
Yeah, these tyres are a bit second hand now. They've had a couple of decent runs. I believe he's got one new set left now, but again, taking a lot of speed in, and the tyre just wouldn't tolerate it.
So Max Verstappen, who doesn't have a pole since Austria last season, has provisional pole currently. That is not to say Max Verstappen did not win qualifying at Spa and in Qatar. He did. He was fastest in Q3. He had grid penalties. He didn't start on pole. He might hold on to it, or it might get taken away from him by George Russell or Charles Leclerc. 3 different constructors in the top 3, 4 different constructors in the top 4, but McLaren, the favourites going into qualifying with a lot to do here, as out come the cars, and Charles Leclerc nips in to the queue ahead of Lewis Hamilton, and then the Williams, I think of Alex Albon there, just politely allows the Ferrari to come through.
It did, because they let Leclerc in first. It nearly compromised Hamilton to getting in the queue at all and ending up at the back. So 3.5 minutes. It's proven to be enough time for the pack to get out, but as you can tell, you know, if it's 75 seconds for a hot lap, you don't want to scorch the tyres up on this out lap. You want to coast along like this.
You want time to prepare. You want a clear track in front of you. And once again, McLaren have gone early, but this time the drivers have got to deliver.
So, take us into the mind of Lando Norris here. You've got the car that can do it, but you can't afford to make any mistakes.
I think at this level they park that, but subconsciously it'll be sitting there because you don't want to tighten up in the car. You need to give it absolutely everything, wring its neck, but you know that if you make a mistake, you don't have anything else on the board. We think Leclerc's gone out on used tyres. We think he has run out of tyres, of new ones, so that's bad news for him, although 15.7 is not too shabby that he's put in to date. So at this level, you just park the pressure and get out and deliver.
And finally, making his way at the end of the pit lane out onto the track is Yuki Tsunoda. So we've got all 10 cars out on the track as Oscar Piastri begins his final flying lap. Take us through this, Martin.
Yeah, well, he's got a bit of traffic ahead, but they should get it out of the way. Arrive and drive into that first chicane. Car looks good, didn't run wide at all. Try and nick a bit of slipstream from that car. This car, the McLaren's good on these bumps, so he can take a nice wide line through. And this opens up turn 4 for him. Car still trying to complain a bit, absolutely flat out through there. When you go underneath a canopy of trees and the unsighted turn 6, you must not run wide. He did not run wide. This is just easy flat out now. Just trying to turn the steering wheel as little as you can get away with to not scrub any speed. And now this is the big money corner. This is where they have to get it absolutely right on the way in. Get the direction change well, left plenty of space on the outside, possibly a touch cautious, but no drama at all. And Piastri hopefully has got some rear tyres for the end of the lap. Came out of there very cleanly. This is looking nice, very nice indeed. Traffic getting out of his way. This time he's kept it in place. Now he's got to absolutely mash the throttle through the final corner. A long run to the line. What is it going to yield for him?
Oh my
Piastri
God.
fastest by a long way.
Half a second for the rest to try and make up. You can hear the roars, you can see the celebrations, but is Lando Norris going to deny him? Norris crosses the line and he takes pole by less than 1/10 of a second. It's McLaren 1 and 2. Don't count out though Max Verstappen or George Russell because they're both within touching distance. Russell crosses the line, third fastest, pushes Max Verstappen down to 4th. Here comes the man who's been on pole for the last 2 years at Albert Park. Verstappen crosses the line, no pole this year for him. He's on the second row with a Mercedes of George Russell. It is Lando Norris starting this campaign the way that he finished the last campaign, by taking pole position. Unless somebody can do something about it. That somebody could be Lewis Hamilton. He's been on pole 8 times here before. If anyone can do it, he certainly can in Albert Park. And he crosses the line to go 6th fastest only, behind his teammate Charles Leclerc, who pits from 5th place. Now, here come the Williams. Carlos Sainz, last year's winner, 8th fastest. Really good effort from Williams in this qualifying, but can Albon go that little bit quicker than his new teammate? Yes, he can, and he goes faster than the 2 Ferraris of Leclerc and Hamilton.
Outstanding from Alex Albon and the Williams team, out-qualifying Ferrari, who have looked on the back foot pace-wise all through. Nice job from Gasly as well. Tsunoda can finish the lap and goes 5th.
That's sensational from Yuki Tsunoda. I don't know why we weren't watching that, because his timing for the first and second sector put him right on the cusp of that top 5 appearance, and that is Yuki Tsunoda's best ever qualifying in Albert Park. It's Lando Norris's best ever qualifying. McLaren, the pre-season favourites, the pre-season pace setters, have gone and bagged the first season pole.
That is pole.
Not a bad way to start the year. Well done, everyone. Unbelievable car. Amazing work all winter. Thank you so much. Let's keep it up, baby.
Yeah, impressive from Norris and Piastri, wasn't it? Under so much pressure to just let the car go, and they did. Mighty, mighty fast. A good quarter of a second ahead of Verstappen, who's been on form all day. George Russell too. Tsunoda, what a statement from him. First blood in the fight between Norris and Piastri. First blood to Norris.
but by 88 1,000ths of a second, so little between them. Oscar Piastri, you said it once as you were taking us through the lap, touch too cautious through, I think, 9 and 10. Maybe that's where Lando made up the time, but there was so little to separate them. Oscar shouldn't feel down in any way, shape or form. It's a 7th front row in his Formula One career. That wait for pole still happens. And Max Verstappen will be thinking, oh, if it's raining, I can win from 17th. I can certainly do it from 3rd on the grid. That ain't a problem.
Yeah, he could be a complete menace to the McLarens again tomorrow in the wet conditions, and he is. We know just how special he is when again. And this track will be like ice. It's had so many different race tyres on it, of Aussie V8s, loads of those races, and F2, F3, F1, a summer of Australian weather on a temporary racetrack. My goodness, if it rains tomorrow, it's going to be slippery.
George Russell, round of applause for him. It's 2nd row for George Russell, but did Mercedes in pre-season testing look like the car that was going to be on the 2nd row? Well, maybe, but George certainly confirmed their pace. Yuki Tsunoda, that's a terrific effort from the Racing Bulls. Same for Alex Albon at Williams. To get a Racing Bull and a Williams ahead of the 2 Ferraris, that means there's a lot of work to do at Maranello, and there'll be some very pleased faces at Faenza and at Grove.
Yeah, and Lewis 9/10 off pole. He'll be thoroughly disappointed with that.
Pierre Gasly ahead of Carlos Sainz for Alpine and for Williams. A much better start to this season, but the points are all handed out tomorrow, of course.